Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Moviecast, episode 411. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Corey Feinsod.
You know, if Mike was wearing a hat, we'd all have hats on right now.
I could put a hat on.
Well, we can make it the Hat Cast. Mike's Needy, as you just heard.
What's up?
And Tony Korkanakis.
That's a hat trick.
Yes, there's three of us. So
It's only three.
yeah, welcome listeners, welcome viewers. If you're watching this, you know what we're talking about. To episode 411, the 411.
Corey, are you drinking seltzer too?
No, actually, I have a
Ooh, he's going
Sam
beer.
Adams.
Oh, see,
Or,
Corey.
seltzer! Oh, look at
That's
that!
the other way. What the heck?
Ah.
Corey, that's a good call, though. I really could go for one of those tonight. I don't have
Yeah.
any in my house at the moment.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I wanted to get something for yesterday. Yesterday was Labor Day for you guys were recording, and it's like I wasn't doing anything really, but cleaning the house. Like, you know what? After cleaning and stuff, a nice beer, ice cold beer is really good. So luckily there was a alcohol store that's still open because they're also a bar.
Oh, there you go. So you can go a little past 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, how weird is it that I don't have beer in my house right now?
Yeah, you're the
You're the
guy.
better dude.
That's not true.
Well-
I have beer fermenting in my house, but it's not ready. So it is beer by
You
now.
did have like a nice.
You're not
weekend,
hardcore enough.
though.
If you don't.
Yeah.
You had the beer weekend.
Yeah, we had
going
the
on.
cookout
Everybody
weekend.
drank it all.
Yeah, we're out right now. I had last night actually. I was watching Raw, getting into what we've been up to actually. I was watching Raw and WWE Raw.
We're doing. That's fine. Go ahead.
Doing the box office first. We're switching it up here.
Yeah.
Jim's going for it.
So I think that so I was watching that and I was like, I really, really need a beer. And I had a triple. Now if anybody knows this, I had a triple IPA in my fridge. Triple IPAs. If it's a single IPA, a double, a triple, a quadruple, it's like more and more and more and more and more alcohol. I don't even know there's a quadruple actually. Now I think about it, but once you get the triple, you're at 9% or higher usually. So this was a 9% beer. It was at the bottom of triples, but so this is a strong one. When you finish a whole 16-ounce can because it's a can, I was feeling it pretty good. So yeah, but it was actually pretty good. Local brewery from us here.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I haven't not been a big fan of beer recently in general, but I really do like Sam's Summer Ale for some reason. Every year that it comes out, I always get it.
I like their winter. So
that one too. Like their seasonal stuff is usually really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I watched Raw. Getting into what we've been up to. Actually, we're gonna kick it off with that. Not very happy with that now. I'm very annoyed with the storyline that they're doing with one of my favorite characters of the show, Braun Strowman, and turning him heel. So that my theory is so that the wrestling fans who aren't paying attention get away from him. So they want to have Roman Reigns keep the belt, forgetting how much they all hate Roman Reigns. It's like it's a ploy from WWE to keep Roman Reigns to have the belt. Like.
Yeah, Vince McMahon loves that guy for some reason.
That's why we all know that. He had way too many title shots, and
5 in a row.
And now they're turning the most fan favorite character that's out there right now a heel, so that you can hate him and boo him and wish for the Roman Reigns to keep the title.
And it was
belt.
organic too. Like his popularity was very organic as far as the character. They didn't push him at all. People liked him.
They just like him, and now they're really trying to make them not like him. So they even paired him with people who are so unliked, just to make him even worse, because they want you to make sure you don't root for him at the next pay-per-view. So other than that, it was not a very big eventful Raw, but So I did watch the newest animated show on Netflix called That Police Thing, the most raunchiest show I think I've ever seen on TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Even for one of those crazy raunchy cartoons, this is pretty crazy. What was it called? It's Paradise PD. So it's obviously rated MA. It's very bloody. It's very.
I think I did hear about that one.
Very graphic. There's a lot of drug use by a dog. Who has orgy parties with those drugs, and he's a canine for the police. So he's
Why are you watching this?
I don't know. It came up on my feed, so I'm like, I like shit cartoons.
Sometimes you gotta try it out.
Like
the
South Park. I enjoy South Park. I enjoyed Simpsons. I like Futurama. Like all these cartoons. Like
Family Guy.
Yeah, Family Guy. I mean, I like those shows. I like them. I don't watch them much anymore. But so I was like, came out on the feed. I'm like, let me check it out for a half an hour show. So I did, and I think I'll give it another couple episodes. It wasn't like great, but it had its moments. It's funnier than Disenchanted. So I mean, at least it has that, and it's just a little bit raunchy. Like the kid shoots his father in the balls, and you see the balls in the first episode. So it's just like,
You see the balls. That
see
could
the
be
balls.
the tagline
Yeah.
for that show.
it's pretty raunchy. So
411 guys, you see balls.
see balls in 411. Yeah, so I watched that. I watched what else I watch? I'm trying to think. Movie wise, didn't really watch much.
Only thinking about seeing the balls.
Apparently, I completely spaced on what else I've watched. I watched something else. I didn't finish it yet though. Shoot, I forgot to finish. I have like 10 minutes left on Jack Ryan, the first episode. It's very good. I really enjoyed that episode. Like I have 10 minutes left. I'm like, I can't. You gotta be kidding me. I can't finish this.
Are you taking John Krasinski seriously?
Yeah, he does a good job with it.
I separate them.
It's
watching
kind of
The
got
Quiet
some,
Place, I didn't think of The Office too much.
He still has the Jim like persona. Like he's still got that slightly.
It kind of works
goofy,
for this character.
Yeah,
I
kind
would
of goofy
think,
character.
though, right?
It does. It does work for Jack Ryan.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. He's an
I
analyst.
wouldn't think you would for that character.
He's a nerdy analyst in this.
I
episode.
like when Karen says like he's always looking at the camera and doing.
Yeah.
And like she just nails it.
Yeah. I find myself doing that in everyday life now. I just
Follow your Jim.
yeah, I just make weird faces when people do something really weird or say something stupid. I just be like,
Yeah. No, I want to watch that. I don't have Amazon Prime Video though.
Ah,
'cause
okay.
I still am leeching off of Kent.
yeah, he can. Well, he can't
And
anymore. We got lucky with our group.
He hasn't asked me for money in like 2 years, so.
So okay, good. They upped the price of it. Amazon Prime now. It's $120 a year, and they also got rid of
stock prices of just
They
skyrocketing
got rid
too.
of, but they got rid of the sharing thing. You can't have a team of friends of 5 anymore. You can't share it.
No,
anymore.
you can be grandfathered into it.
We
though.
are, and that's so we have that. And I made a family account for those people for their videos. So everybody subscribes to the group has one account they can watch Amazon Prime videos on, so they can share the account. So that's what I did. So yeah, it's like it's a family member.
Interesting.
So yeah, family account. So, but it doesn't have it has no parental restrictions, so they can watch this, Jack Ryan, all those shows that they want to watch. So, but it's a good episode though, and I've heard very good things about the show. So
Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
yeah. And that's about it for me. So Corey, what have you been up to?
Actually, the only thing I really watched a lot of was The Good Place. Have you guys heard of The Good Place? It's Kristen Bell.
Is it next to The Quiet Place?
Kind of.
Oh,
But,
wait.
Kristen Bell and Ted Danson.
Oh, okay.
So, like, she dies and goes to The Good Place.
Oh,
And,
yeah. No, I know what this
It's
is.
a comedy, half-hour comedy, and it actually is really well done, I thought. Like, basically, Ted Danson plays the architect of the neighborhood in The Good Place, and it's supposed to be the perfect paradise for you. And so when she gets there, she's like, oh, yeah, this is great. Everything's perfect. And then she's like, then you learn halfway through the episode she was not supposed to be there. And so it's her trying to stay in The Good Place.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for her. And like, because she's not supposed to be there, like, it's not working for other people. Like, things are going crazy. And like, it's really some hijinks and just some really cool stuff happens and funny things and situations. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun, actually. I've really been enjoying that show. It's it's an interesting take on like the heaven and hell storylines and what it means for people. And then, of course, they throw a twist in there. And so you learn about that. And it's like, oh, wow,
Okay.
I legitimately did not see that coming. So
That's
I
what
was
she
like,
said.
oh.
All right.
But yeah, other than that, that's it.
What? Oh,
That's it. Other than that,
okay. Before I get to you, Tony, where did you watch Genius season 2? Was that on YouTube?
No, you got to go through one of the mega sites or whatever
Okay.
like that. There's
I couldn't-
I
I-
can send you the Reddit thread. I forgot to tell you. It's not.
I went
on
to do it
YouTube.
and I was like, where is it? Like, I can't find it anywhere. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. So I thought maybe I was just somebody else. I even searched. I'm like, oh, I can't find this. It should be easy.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like they just didn't upload it on YouTube for
Okay.
the other
Alright.
seasons.
All right.
But that's what
anyways.
I've been up to.
So, okay.
Genius.
Go
I finished the last season, season 4 called Grand Finals.
on.
Like, it's crazy to think about because like it's one of those things where like the first season you're just like you don't know what to expect, so it's just a lot of like, oh my god, like this is ridiculous, like with the types of games they play
Yeah,
and like the
yeah.
twists and stuff like that. And each season, like you're like, all right, I think I know what's going on, and like they still have some twists. But even in the final season, you're just like, I don't even know how they could see things. How they like, there's some things that happened in the last season where I don't even think the producers expected something to happen like that on the show, because they're like, this is the first time anybody's done this thing and it worked. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, I guess that's valid. And it's not even like very like highly technical or something. It's one of those things where it's so crazy that, you know, you're like, oh, nobody would ever do that kind of thing, right? Because we're all adults here. It's like, yeah, somebody did that, and you're just like, oh well, what can you do about it? Just to be vague about it, but I'm kind of sad actually, because like now it's over. I have nothing to look forward to because that's it.
Yeah.
They did this other show called the Society Game or something, which is supposed to be somewhat similar, but
it's never the same.
It's never the same. So I'm like,
you can't beat original recipe. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little sad, but the final season did pay off in a big way, and it's interesting with some of the characters that, because the whole twist behind season 4 is they brought back people from each season, and obviously they brought back like some of the heroes / champions, and then they brought back some of the heels or like, you know, I don't know, dark horses and stuff like that. So it was interesting seeing them all mixed together, because it's like, oh, you were the villain from season 1, but that's the villain from season 2. What are they gonna do together? Like, they're both bad people, so it's just like, what are they gonna do?
I'm psyched to see. I gotta get that link from where to find it from you, so I can.
I'll get it from you.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been catching some random episodes of Pokemon on the Twitch marathon.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Okay.
It's so funny because, I mean, obviously I watched it when I was like a teenager and the game came out, because I was like all Pokemon.
The Squirtle Squad. I remember
Yeah,
the
Squirtle Squad and all that stuff, but I haven't seen it since then. So watching it now, the show, I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally, but it's hilarious now, because there's some things that happen, you're just like, that is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous, especially for a children's show. Like, there's this one episode where, like, this guy who wants to be, like, the Pokemon photographer, like, master or whatever like that, he winds up getting, like, attacked with a move, and they're like, are you all right? And he's like, my camera's fine. And they're like, oh, we're asking about you, not your camera. He's like, but my camera is my life. And Ash, the main character theory, goes, get a new life. It's like, what? Like, so mean. Like, but, yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
And it's weird, because I think, like, you asked, like, what was the point of watching it when, you know, a lot of it is on, like, Netflix and stuff. But this is one of the few times where Twitch chat is actually hilarious, because even though it goes by so fast, you can see the reactions of people, and like they're just like roasting the characters, the plot line of the story, and whatnot.
They're kind of watching it together in a way.
Yeah, it's got some kind of bonding experience. So that's cool. Funny, and apparently it's going to go on for like 10 months, which is crazy.
I'm gonna have to tune into it a little bit.
A lot of Pokemon episodes.
I might have to look at what these young whippersnappers are talking about with Twitch.
Yeah, because so like during the week they play X amount of episodes every day, and it just loops through. And then Saturdays is reruns of like all the episodes that week, so you can catch up. And then Sunday they pick one of the movies, and that's what they show all day. So,
do they do this with Dragon Ball?
No, but you know what? This is like so popular, because like the one night I was watching it, and it's like 30,000 people were just watching fucking Pokemon. I'm just like, what is it?
Like, so I can see this doing.
How was
that
even sponsored? Like, would they just like some channels like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and
yeah. So I think it started out actually with I think the first one was Doctor Who. They did Doctor Who marathon, and then they did a Bob Ross marathon. And they did a Pokemon or a Power Ranger marathon. So this went well, and I could definitely see anime being thrown in the mix or something next. Yeah, it's just kind of like crazy.
Cool. Mike.
I'm not sure if I talked about this because it's been a couple
weeks. Yeah.
But I'm 12 out of 13 episodes through Luke Cage season 2 now.
Almost there.
I think you mentioned you were nearing the end, but I don't know what episode you're on before. So.
I probably watched like 1 or 2 episodes, like between.
So has Iron Fist shown up yet?
He has.
Okay. Oh, okay. Did it help the character at all?
Yes.
There you go. I heard it did. I don't know what it is, but I heard it did.
He's just like, he seems like he knows what he's like talking about more now. And they had a few.
Supposed to be the Iron Fist.
Well, I mean. Yeah, I mean, I know this is about Luke Cage, but like
he pretty much almost, not like you guys. I mean, it's a mild spoiler, I guess, what his function is, but he's sort of like a spiritual guide almost to Luke Cage himself. And then there's some action.
That's kind of what he should have been in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. There's some action scenes where like they work well together again. Yeah, but that was strangely intercut with
I'll
like
have to YouTube those scenes.
yeah,
That's all I need. I don't need the rest of it.
that was strangely like intercut with the darkest like act that anyone did like in this season in that same episode. It was generally a light episode with those two, and then like a villain does like the worst thing anyone's done so far in the show. It was a weird contrast that seems strange. And then after that, inexplicably, he disappears. There's no like real logical plot reason in this following episode or two why he's not there, but he's not.
Okay, magic.
He's gotta go film his own
He has to
show.
go save the world himself, you know? I mean, he's got his own stuff going on. So,
I almost feel like maybe they might make his appearance in Luke Cage season 2 take place after whatever he does in his season 2.
That's coming out in a couple weeks, right? They released. I mean, that's part of the news we have. Like, they released some actual footage. Like, they're really talking about the fight sequences and stuff now.
Just because, like, he seems like something has happened so much that's different from where we last left off with him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, like, make that the timeline.
Yeah, I really thought they should have just done the, Heroes for Hire and combined these two.
Yeah, that would make them. I think the two characters that, are not. Well, obviously, Iron Fist was terrible last year.
They're both a little bit of they're both kind of archetypes in, like, a way where they could, like, if you like make them more basic, they would be better to bounce off each other. Because I don't feel like there's enough.
Yeah,
I don't feel like there's enough to go around each of them that much. Like to have them be full characters, there's not enough there. I don't think.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of think they would be better if they sort of, not to say just make them more one-dimensional each, but to have them just play off each other more and play to their strengths more.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I've been watching.
Right. Well, let's tie that in real quick with Iron Fist season 2 news because I don't want to move on to the box office. But I just meant, this. They were saying like there's a whole like hyping video now for Iron Fist season 2, and it's all about the fight sequences. I mean, they're really trying to make it look like that's what they. I mean, I think they've identified the weaknesses of the show, whatever they can do with their main character, because that was probably the biggest weakness of the show. But the fight sequences were not good. There was only like one or two maybe you could say were decent. So they really brought a whole new choreography team in to work on that and work with the actors on this to get it better. So they are focusing on that. So I mean, we'll see. It's coming out in a few weeks.
It is funny to me how they like never use a stunt double for him, even though they could or should.
Yeah.
Like you see other shows like this, it's constant stunt doubles, and like it's not that much with him.
Yeah.
I would say that he's a little better in Luke Cage, but really it's more their interactions that make the action better. It still does kind of look like you can almost see him like counting choreography steps in his head the way he moves, but we'll see what happens this time.
All right. Okay, well, going into the box office now. Let's see. At number 1, Crazy Rich Asians, 22.2 million.
3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks in a row.
10% drop off.
Yeah. Geez, that's really good. This movie is doing really well. The Meg is still up there at number 2 at 10.6. I had no idea what that movie was 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago actually, and I saw a preview in the movie theaters. I'm like, that's gonna be horrible. And there it is. It's not saying it's a great movie.
I asked you guys about it. I think I had it on our hype thing.
Yeah, I think we might have. But, let's see. Mission Impossible is at 3. Searching at 4, which is that John Cho movie. Isn't that what that is?
Oh,
everybody said that's really good.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things
Asian-led
about that
movie again. There you go.
Yeah, that's at number 4. That opened in like limited theaters, so that's why it did so low. I mean, 6.2 million. Operation Finale at number 5 at 6.1. So yeah, Searching is supposed to be a good movie. I really would like. That's something I probably would like to see in the theaters if I had some spare time to go see that. Like, oh, what are we doing this weekend? No, let's just go check out a movie. So that's one of those things right there. I'd go check out. Nothing really opening that's worth talking about. Let's see. Back into the news here. We have a couple things to talk about in the news. Mostly Netflix, all Netflix actually. We just mentioned Marvel Iron Fist. They have a rumor about a Diablo TV series in production now.
That's interesting.
Yep. Do you think, and we're not going to get into this tonight, but we're talking about video game movies, but do you think video game shows would just be easier to do?
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I think.
Well, yeah,
I mean-
Castlevania.
Yeah. Well, I mean
Right,
that's different,
'cause,
but
I mean,
yeah, but
How many
Why is that different?
video game stories
I
can you accurately or even remotely faithfully recreate in the span of like a 2-hour movie, even 3 hours? Like,
A lot of when you put together a lot of
Yeah.
cutscenes, they're around that length. For some,
yeah, but those cutscenes without the gameplay in between them, I don't think they make sense most of the time.
yeah.
I guess.
Within
Yeah.
one game, that it would work.
I don't know. I haven't. My Uncharted's probably. It would probably work with Uncharted because it's like half the game.
Okay, well, I mean, they could just fill him with like climbing. So okay, I guess Uncharted, like
Yeah.
climb.
Yeah, you're just
cutscene,
skipping the
climb,
shooting and
climb.
climbing, and then everything else.
No, I only mentioned
Like
this.
you can
Go on.
do like Assassin's Creed, like even Warcraft didn't work too well, and it has like
I mean-
tons of lore.
They never actually go for like the one-to-one like video game story to movie. They just sort of like take the like conceit of a game and just do whatever the fuck they want normally, and that might be the problem. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, more time could tell. You can tell better stories with more time, but I guess we'll see what happens with a full series of something like
Yeah, I mean,
Witcher. or
like
Diablo.
we're gonna get into that too. This is I don't know if this is gonna be a live action show or an animated. That's why I was saying it's different, Corey, because I don't know why I give like animation has more of a chance to be good than the live action stuff.
It's closer to the same idea. You don't need to cast specific people as like this character that
Well, you
you've
can make
already
them look
pictured.
more like the characters in the game
Yeah,
as well.
you could just draw them however you want, essentially, and
Yeah,
adapt them pretty directly. You don't need to worry about actors, and obviously, like, you can have crazy things happen on a lower budget in animation than you could in live action. So
yeah.
there is an advantage for that, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. It doesn't really say anything here about what they're planning with that, just that it's in development. But we do have a live-action a video game show from Netflix coming out where they just cast Henry Cavill now as the lead for. Is it Geralt or Geralt?
It
I
is.
say Geralt.
It's Geralt, and I really wanted to say Geralt until I've been playing the game and they've been Geralting me to death. I'm like,
Okay.
all right, it's Geralt.
Pick it up. So Geralt of Rivia.
Well, he came out and said he wanted this role too.
Yeah, he did, and he apparently got it.
I
To play the
mean,
game?
you would think so if he came out and said he wanted the role, but who knows?
I mean, it's interesting because, I would assume that the Man of Steel has a full schedule with filming, but I guess he has time to film an entire series on Netflix, so I don't know. But it's weird that he could just have that opportunity. I mean, I'm happy. I think he's a good actor. I think he's, he was actually, I liked him in Mission Impossible. I liked him as the
when
Man
you give
of
him
Steel.
a character to play that's not.
Yeah,
like,
not Mopey Man.
Just with 3 dimensions instead of like 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
It's funny because Geralt has like, as I play this more, he has this whole sort of like
Mopey.
no, he has an in-universe reason why he's not emotive.
Mm-hmm.
Like Witchers like can't emote as like they're like emotions are dulled. So it's just like, oh, that's interesting now that someone wants to really play that part.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. He's not obviously who I think most people would think of for the role.
Yeah.
You think of older people, you wonder if like he's gonna be like not
Aged.
super aged or like not super buff like he has been lately. But we'll see. I mean, not like Geralt is like scrawny, but like he's like normal sized dude.
Who knows? They
who's-
might do a younger Geralt too.
Yeah, they could.
I don't know, but also I think his hair is like that color for magic
Witcher
reasons
reasons.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they'll dye it or give him a really bad wig
Mm.
for no reason.
Or they won't and be like, hey,
They'll
it's
just
a TV show.
CGI. They'll just CGI everything that's different onto him. Like
Yeah, they could do
other,
that,
other things.
Yeah.
Do a better job than WB, though.
Yeah, probably.
Let's get into our topic. Actually, we have a topic tonight for. We've had this conversation sometimes on the podcast, and I thought we'd finally just dive into it and dedicate some final the minutes of good meaty portion of this podcast onto this topic of just how important villains are to a movie compared to heroes. Which one are heroes more important? Are villains more important? More interesting? Just how I think from my point of view, I think a lot of you have heard this already, where I feel like for me a villain truly makes the movie. If you have a weak villain, it's not a very memorable movie. It's also it just doesn't seem to be as good as those movies that have a strong villain. I'm not saying that you can't have a good movie. I'm saying that the movies that have a strong villain make them better.
Right. No, and sometimes the villain's not necessarily a person either. Sometimes the villains are a thing or
sure, yeah,
and stuff like that. So like having, I think, a strong antagonist.
Wait. What do you mean?
Villain. I'm just saying, like, you think of like A Quiet Place. Just because I was talking about before, there's no villain character in that movie. It's just the creatures that will kill you if you make noise, and that.
I would argue that's not necessarily like a traditional villain, because there's been many horror movies where you have like a monster or something, and then they shoehorn these human villain characters in there, which I think are unnecessary. But they're like, oh, we need a villain.
Well, so then, like, what are we saying? Like, do we actually need a villain character, or are we talking about like what is driving these characters and like the bad parts of like the scenario?
My whole thing for what this is like, I mean, if you have like Steppenwolf, who was a terrible villain in that movie, hurt that movie greatly. If you have a stronger villain there, I think it's a better movie, and I think it's a much better movie that way if you have a better villain. I don't know. I mean, you're also wondering what if, but if you take stuff like, let's take, I'm happen wearing a hat of a show that had a great villain in season 1. And that really put it on the map. I felt like more so than the hero. I thought the Kingpin was awesome in that show. I thought he was a fantastic villain. I like it when they kind of try to blend the lines between a villain and a hero, like kind of get you to sympathize.
Well, I think the best villains are the ones that they do a good job representing why they feel like they're the hero in their story.
Yeah. So, and then another point of it is like you can't have a strong hero without a strong villain. I mean, it's the
you can have the other way around though.
Hero.
You think we can have a strong hero?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No. Okay. Well,
and again, like, what does villain mean? Like, does that mean like a opposite of the hero, or is
usually
it
that's what that is? It's
I would call
opposite.
it a character that is has like antagonistic goals compared to the hero.
Yes. So
That's
like,
it.
I mean, Batman and Joker.
I don't know if like a force or a creature could always be described as like a character
or a villain.
It's
just
hard
because,
to say.
like I was saying, like I think that the John Krasinski character in A Quiet Place is a great hero character, but he has no real villain then in that movie.
See, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're right. They're creatures. You can't really focus them in on just one spot. But like Tony, why would you? Yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't necessarily need a villain to have a hero. A hero, by definition, I think, is defined as the actions that he takes. I mean, sure, a lot of it, and especially in the movie and TV industry, a lot of that is because there's a villain that's doing bad shit. But I mean, there's tons of stuff where it's just natural occurrences, like fire
Twister.
or exactly disaster. Where it's like, I mean, are we counting like a tornado or a tsunami as a villain? Like, like the tsunami's like twirling its mustache, like.
But usually, I guess I just need to hear like Twister. I guess is a good example of a movie I enjoyed.
Isn't there someone in like something like Twister who like some human character who's just
there's a human character,
a douche.
Yeah,
and it's just like, why do we need this? Because I think that's sort of
because you need them like motivation for them to like. And
they have motivation. There's a tornado.
Sure, I'm just saying, but you want to cheer like, oh, they beat that guy because he's a douche, and like you feel good about it. That's why they shoehorn those things in there.
Right. So, I mean, sure, like having a strong villain absolutely helps,
sure.
But I don't think it's necessarily requirement to have one of those because, again, in my eyes, I think a hero is defined as somebody that does what's right by any means, usually through self-sacrifice. Mostly to the cost of their own, self, a lot of times.
But like, I'm saying like let's take one of Mike's favorites, Christmas movies here. That's not a Christmas movie, but whatever. Let's take this movie and remove Hans Gruber from the equation from that movie. Make it just a bunch of guys. There's no actual ringleader here. Is it as good of a movie?
Well, no, but that doesn't mean that like if you remove John McClane from the movie, then what happens? Nothing. So the hero is more important still because he makes the villain matter.
I mean, I'm sure there are movies where there's only a villain. I just kind of
And
like
then- and then
Minions.
that-
I'm trying to think of
Despicable
one.
Me.
And no,
yeah,
and
that's
then,
what I'm
and
thinking.
then,
Like,
and then the villain becomes the hero
Right.
because you're still following someone, and you're like, all right, I want him to do what he wants to do.
I mean, we're kind of getting one this year with Venom, but I'm just looking
No.
at
Anti-hero.
he's gonna
Yeah.
be an anti-hero.
There's
That's
And
anti-heroes.
we also know there's a villain in that too,
It's
which
like-
they spoil pretty
yeah.
much in
There's
the
a worse
trailers.
symbiote.
Okay. However they
Yeah.
say it. I don't know. For me, you look at like memorable movies and like the reason why. I guess
Okay,
I guess
so
it's anti-heroes.
here's this is your example, Jim, that you love to bring up. Iron Man and Dark Knight.
Yes,
Iron Man is a fantastic movie,
it's a fun movie.
despite
More
its
fun
villain.
movie. Yes,
I don't think his villain was that bad.
I don't
But
think
it's
Iron Man's
not
had
a
a good.
good
I don't think
villain.
I don't think Iron Man's had a good villain in a movie. I don't think they have.
Certainly better than Iron Man 2.
Sure,
First
but that
one.
doesn't make him like a good villain. Just because you're better than crap doesn't mean you're better.
Right. Still, despite the villain, I think Iron Man was a great movie. It was a lot of fun, and the hero and the actor that played the character is what really drove that.
Sure,
Where in Dark Knight, you had a fantastic villain, won an Oscar,
sure.
and like changed the game as far as like expectations go, and what to expect
Yeah.
on screen. And that movie, I don't think, is anything like to sniff. Like it's still going to be a good movie, but it's not what it would have been without.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I think in that situation, think about Batman Begins and how mediocre that. If you go back to it and just how bleh it was, it was good, but it wasn't like, it's not that
I thought
strong.
The Scarecrow was good.
I didn't.
I mean,
I thought
you-
it was a fine movie, that one.
And I
think
thought that-
it's a better Batman movie than The Dark
I
Knight,
think
actually.
Bane is a bad villain.
Bane was a horrible villain. That ruined that movie in my mind. It really
Well,
did.
Yeah, well, that was a problem, but again, you
I really
the
wish you
hero
guys would go back and listen to the episode where we talked about Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
I
really
liked
would
Dark
love
Knight
for you
Rises
guys-
on my first. Like Mike and I saw it in IMAX, and like we
Yeah,
were.
and everyone in that theater loved it, and we came out of it feeling pretty good about it.
I did.
And then the
not.
second time I watched it, I was like, ugh.
I want to go back and listen to what my opinion was because I didn't see that with these guys, and I
No,
remember not.
you didn't like it.
I know. That's what I thought.
Mike and I were the only ones that said we liked it.
Yeah.
Because we saw it in IMAX with a crowd that was like.
Yeah, I want to go
cheering.
back and listen to that. But like, let's take like how about Corey? I'm Corey. Tony. Let's go Transformers here. I mean, we've had multiple villains in that, right?
All right, yeah.
So it's
sure.
like,
Human and.
can you? Yeah, I know. Can you use that as an example of like? I mean, Optimus Prime, great hero, right? I guess Megatron though. I mean,
The first one, he was a good villain.
yeah.
Yeah, I would argue the first one he's a good villain. But the thing is with Optimus Prime, like I would say the Bayformer, like the Michael Bay movies, I actually don't think they portray Optimus Prime as a very good heroic character. Actually, I think they portray him as a necessary like war character, like
Oh,
the Autobots in wartime.
yeah.
I mean, if you compare that to the action, like okay, I'll turn the tables on you. So the Transformers animated movie, I think, does a fantastic job of portraying Optimus Prime as a heroic character because he self-sacrifices, because he has a good villain, yes, in Megatron.
Megatron was a great villain in that show. It was.
Right,
Yeah.
Megatron was a great villain.
Yeah.
But ultimately it came down to, Optimus Prime sacrificing himself for another character, and that started the whole, like literally because of what happened in that series, this character has been forever tainted in the Transformers mythos or universe or whatever wherever they like name drop. Oh, this character's gonna be in the show. Everybody's like, "Fuck that character. He's the reason." Optimus Prime died for 30-something years now. This character just had his image and reputation tarnished because he killed Optimus Prime. So it's just like, all right, So again, I think it's more defined by the actions that a character takes or doesn't take. So obviously having the villain that can put these heroic characters in those situations, yes, obviously makes for a fantastic movie. But, I would say a lot of that can be circumstantial. Like, all right, Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I can't name one villain, like an actual named character villain, in any of those
That's a
movies.
group one, yeah, and that's a great. He's a
Hitler.
great hero. Okay, that's actually a perfect example of it. That's actually a good example right there. I can't. There's
I'm sure there was general characters, but I don't remember any of their names.
I don't really have.
Just Nazi dudes or the temple guy who took your heart out, or
Yeah,
I don't know their names though, so I guess they weren't that great.
or one I think you might disagree with me on a bit more. But in my mind, I love the first Matrix movie, but in just the first Matrix movie, I don't think Agent what's his name? Agent Smith.
Smith, yes.
I don't think he's a very good villain.
I think he gets there by the last
Right,
half
but
hour of the movie. By the last half hour of the movie, I think he becomes because he gains importance as the movie goes on as well.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know, I guess you're right with that example. I mean, for me, I'm looking at like Spider-Man 2, which was one of my favorites. You have Doc Ock in that movie was great, and I like to add it as a flawed villain, like as a character who was trying to do good.
Yeah.
I like those flawed villains, and I think they make the movies better than if you had just, obviously, take Spider-Man 3 that was just a bonanza.
I do think now, though, like, maybe back then that was cool, but, like, if you get to Spider-Man 2 spoilers, if you get to, like, the end of a movie and the hero, like, literally, like, talks down the villain to, like, win at the end, I think that's kind of lame. I kind of don't want that to happen in, like, a modern movie.
You didn't like Civil War either.
No, I didn't like Civil War. I thought was a shoehorn villain. I thought he didn't need to be there at all. I would have been more about the issues between the characters if Tony Stark organically found all that shit out due to his like paranoia, rather than someone leaving breadcrumbs for them to come to the truth that he would have found out anyway, because that was the truth. I thought every time that character was on screen, I'm like, I don't care what you're doing. I want to see more of like what's going on with Tony Stark and Captain America. And like, I didn't want him at all. I thought he was a shoehorned villain.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny is like I'm trying to think of like how much I enjoyed. We're going back to like creatures, but like you enjoyed Lord of the Rings, those three that came out, and I don't like that villain. I don't like the Eye, Saruman, or whatever his name is, or I think that's a terrible villain, and I did like that movie. So I'm saying, yeah, it does happen for me, but
what I'll say is when you have in my opinion, when you have characters that are either unrealistic or near invincible, like with powers and stuff like that, it's necessary to have a villain that can either overpower them in their own sphere of whatever, or put them in situations where their powers don't help them. You know, that like with Batman or Zemo with even admitted I couldn't take on a single Avenger by myself, but through this stuff I have them tearing at each other's throats. Like, oh well, okay, I mean that's what it is. And just like like I said with Man of Steel, the biggest villain in Man of Steel was the tornado.
Zod's a very weak villain in that. He is. He definitely is. So there are, I mean, there are some weak villains. I don't know. I think it can elevate like a good movie to like great. Does it need to be there though? I guess you can still have a good movie without it.
I don't know if it needs to be, but like for superhero stuff, maybe.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because
like our gripes with a lot of the Marvel movies, like Ultron, for instance, was not a great villain. I didn't think it was a great villain.
I mean, he had a lot of what could have been great about him. Like, you always he's sort of like the personification of like Tony's like scheming going wrong in a way. But for whatever reason,
the predicament. Like what he lived in the city. Like, okay, I mean, all right, that's a third act-esque thing where it's like, oh no, got to save the day, but it's not making them make any like tough choices. They're not they're not being put in a scenario where it's like, well, what's going to happen here? Like like in Avengers 1, like Iron Man with.
Did someone de-age Corey?
Corey de-aged apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just gave up on us. He's just going to be on his iPad now. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, in Avengers 1, you have the whole threat with Loki and the invasion.
But Loki's a great villain.
Well, Loki is a great villain, but then you have that secondary plot point where, the council decided to nuke New York City because they're like, fuck it, like, if we can't beat them, at least we can contain it, and this is an acceptable loss. And Iron Man had to sacrifice. Right. Iron Man was willing to sacrifice himself to, save the day. So... Again, it's just putting the heroes in situations where
I guess it is to enhance the hero, to give him in those situations, like so. Yeah, I guess I mean you make a point.
Villain, too.
I do. But you're right. I guess it doesn't actually need to be necessary. I would definitely concede that after like hearing the examples like that I heard here, like makes sense in certain situations. Like I just always think that villain makes the movie, but you can't definitively say that because if we've seen movies that have been pretty good, and so I mean, I don't know. I think I think that's
like
pretty
to
good.
your point. Yeah, to your point, I would say like the first two Thor movies. I mean, the first one was alright, but the second one absolutely suffered because the villain was crap.
The villain was
I
crap.
think the third one came back because Hela was such a great contrast to Thor because she was clearly more powerful than him in every regard. So it's like, again, challenged him to a level where he couldn't compete.
Yeah, the best villains are the ones that challenge the hero the most. I mean,
So
that's
Corey,
that's why the Joker's so good.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, you missed it. I did call out that the biggest villain in Man of Steel was the tornado.
Yes. And I did concede that I think you're right. I think that a hero can make the movie more than a villain.
But again,
you conceded.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where I fall on this, though, is just I don't necessarily think that the hero needs to be great, or the villain needs to be great in the movie, but I do relate to a good villain, and I feel like when you have a good villain, it definitely elevates
it elevates
everybody around you, because it's one of those things like in sports, like if your quarterback's playing really well, it elevates everyone around you, makes them look better, or your point guard or whatever.
The easiest way to say it is
elevate people around you.
It can make a good movie great. It can't save a bad movie. Well, I guess it could make a bad movie good if it's a really good villain. But if you have a bad villain,
the heroes
you really
still
can't save a
number
movie
one
anyways.
thing. 'Cause
we were
heroes,
like Thor 2 is a perfect example of someone with a bad villain with a fun hero, but it's still a bad movie. So so. All right.
And at least with the villains, I like the characters where you can actually sympathize with them, because again, like maybe not even sympathize, but like understand where they're coming from. And like a recent example was like with Avengers. I know we talked about that with Thanos, but like sure, in our eyes, in most people's eyes, he's a villain, but to him, he's the hero of the story. He's the hero.
Even
of the
like
story.
you want to go throw it back, like how about The Rock, with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage? Ed Helms is a great villain in that, even though
he's the hero in his
Ed
movie.
Helms. Oh my God, I said Helms. What's his real name? What's his name? Ed
Harris.
Thank you.
There we go.
We got too much Office on the brain.
Yeah. You had me. You know what's funny is I knew exactly what you were talking about, and I even thought you said it right until you caught yourself, and I'm like, oh wait, that wasn't him. It's Ed Harris.
Yeah. So I mean, and his perspective, what he was trying to accomplish, you could understand where he's coming from, but his methods were just not the way you go about it. That's the villain, the easy route, or the quick fix type of thing. Like,
cool.
So.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up for the 411 of the Moviecast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. You can write us podcast at allyoucangeek.net, follow us on Twitter, allyoucangeek, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. New videos coming up there. We are working on new recording options for you guys, so maybe check out some streams maybe and get better quality video to you. So look for that in the future, and tune into the Gamecast coming up next. Thanks.
All drop.
Boom.